这是2025年2月23日，洪灏总对中国 AI 产业的最新看法，颠覆了大部分人的思维，尤其是在最近人工智能资产暴涨的行情下，显得尤为重要。洪灏总的核心逻辑是：如果 AI 工具付费的习惯在国外都没有形成特别好的商业环境下，那么在中国这个市场，仅凭大模型成本低，真的就可以迅速商业化吗？这里洪灏总举出历史的案例：2014年微软老板鲍尔默吐槽，中国每10台电脑里9台用的 Windows 都是盗版。微软玩了招，先白嫖后收钱的策略，当时不赚钱，让全国人习惯用 Windows 是长线打法。但是这笔钱等了10到15年才算赚到微软的手里。我们还是要认真听听洪灏总的逻辑，原版是英文的内容，不想听英文的直接跳到后面我的总结。
Do you think this is a sustainable rally?
It's a good rebound. So I think before it really evolved into a multi-year sort of a rising trend, a lot needs to be done. And for now, I think many of us are still seeing fundamental problem with the Chinese economy. So as such, the earnings growth hasn't been sustainable for some time. For the past 10 years, earnings per share in the Chinese market is more or less the same. Right, so basically, the change in the stock price level has been the result of changing in valuation multiples. Right, so if you really want a sustainable bull market for the long term, you really want a sustainable growth model going forward.
There's a lot of optimism about these cheaper AI models, and perhaps that China could lead the way when it comes to the new tech revolution. Could that sustain those expectations?
I think for now, people are really enthusiastic by the prospect of it. I think DeepSeek did a really good job to break the technology hegemony and the embargo from the U.S. Now, having said that, though, I think it's still very difficult to see how to monetize from this app, and also Chinese are renowned for not willing to pay for software. Right, so I think if you look at back in the 90s, right, so when Windows was first introduced to China, right, so basically 99% of the copies used in the market is actually pirated copies, right, all the way until like 10, 15 years later. Right, so it's a difficult market to monetize. I think it's still very early stage. It's a huge breakthrough, but then at the same time, for now, I don't see a good way to monetize it. I think so far this technical rebound has been the result of the sentiment change, right? So because the DeepSeek moment really woke up the Chinese investment community and see, wow, what is possible, right, going forward. And also the Chinese tech sector valuation has been depressed for a long time, and some of the foreign investors have been buying, for a sort of a trading opportunity, and I think that sort of set off the rally in the past months or so. I think right now, we're running into a very strong resistance level, right? So these are key technical levels, and many of our technical indicators are actually running into a very strong resistance. Right? So for the market to go substantially higher from here, a lot needs to be done. A lot of policies needs to be set, in March in the coming twin sessions.
Always with the voice of caution, leaders like in the forefront of what he's trying to achieve. How much is this to do with the Trump trade tensions, with potentially the rivalry that's just going to heat up in the next few years, and how Beijing needs to position for that? And given that sort of external threat, could you see it being more proactive in terms of helping the private sector?
I think to a certain extent, China needs the private sector to be strong more than ever now. I think the government is indeed trying to help the private sector to a certain extent, but having said that, in the past few years, what gets really strong is the SOE sectors, right? So the resources is really going into the SOE sectors, and because of the incentive system, the commercial banks are lending sort of towards the SOE sectors rather than to the private sectors, because if your loan goes sour, you have to be responsible, right? Even if you left the job. Right, so that's the reason why the private sector is not getting enough credit, and if they really want to grow, they have to find a way to get credit from the banking system. Now with DeepSeek, for some reason, you use DeepSeek as an example, right? So the founder is actually a hedge fund tycoon, right? He's loaded, right? So he has money he's willing to burn, and also for his own business, he's been using AI algorithm, to trade, to make money from the Chinese market, and has been very successful. And so I think DeepSeek is one of those sort of accidental sort of fortune that the founder used his own money to burn, and there's very limited government intervention, and therefore DeepSeek was able to flourish under such system. I think to replicate the success of DeepSeek really needs a really hands-off approach from the government.
I wanted to get your views on Alibaba, because I do wonder, with this sort of return to the fold with Jack Ma, how much could we see a re-reversal of Baba's fortunes, right? Because you can take a look on that chart. 2020 November, when the Ant IPO was called off, we've not even seen, with the recent recovery, that stock price even halfway back to the previous levels. Do you think that this is the start of a meaningful improvement?
Yeah, I think BABA has done a lot of work in the past few years, right? So I think it is actually leading the AI investments in China, right? So a lot of people didn't see the efforts, the endeavors that is being sort of undertaken by BABA. Having said that, though, the stock has rallied for like more than 50% now. All right, so even though it's down substantially from the peak in 2021. People still need to see earnings growth from this company, and also sort of a better sort of a reception from the government for BAB, and also for the entire private enterprise, for people to pick up confidence again in these sectors.
洪灏总在当下港股被阿里巴巴和腾讯等巨头在 AI 的加持下提示 ，AI 的商业逻辑需要进一步验证。其实对我们普通投资者来讲，是非常关键的。其次还有几个重点要注意。第一个点，中国 AI 技术怎么赚钱？中国公司可能不靠卖软件会员，比如像 ChatGPT 让你每月交钱，而是走买硬件送技术的路子。就像你买小米手机，里面送你免费语音助手。未来的 AI 技术可能绑在手机芯片这些硬件上一起卖。第二点，别光看新闻说国家要支持民营企业，重点看3月两会有没有真金白银的政策。第三点，净股市涨主要是 DeepSeek 带动大家情绪好了，但很多公司实际业绩还没变好，下季度财报数据不太好，你就要提桶跑路了。结论，当前反弹属情绪修复，可持续性需观察政策落地与盈利改善信号。AI 硬件链和超跌科技股存交易性机会，但长期需警惕政策与盈利的双重不确定性。